What is up, everybody? Welcome to 4th and 25 with Jrams. Hope y'all having a good day. Sorry for the late start. Working night job, you have to sleep a little bit. So, anyway, had to take care of a couple of things real quick. But welcome aboard. Welcome to this week's show. We got a lot to get into. College baseball is sadly gone. The College World Series is over with. Congratulations to Oklahoma, national champions. I think the third time in their history. But congrats to the Sooners, another title for the SEC. Super happy for Oklahoma. I know Toby Keith was smiling down, proud of his Sooners, so that's a big reason I was cheering for Oklahoma. But anyway, great College World Series, great college baseball season, and now we slowly start to shift toward football, even though we still got a few months. But anyway, all right, so we're going to jump in today with our news and notes thing. I wanted to share a couple of cool little stories that have happened this week because we got some big news today earlier, but we'll get to that here in just a second. Okay, so let me start with a neat little story, I guess you can call it neat, out of El Paso. Check this out. This is a first. UTEP is going to allow fans to vote on the kickoff time for a 2026 football game. The game is going to be the game against San Jose State on October 17th. So the fans will get to choose on what kickoff time it's going to be for this game. Your choices for the voters is going to be 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, or 7 o'clock in the Mountain West time, in their Mountain Time, which is where El Paso is. Neat little story, though. This is a first. I've never heard of letting fans vote on a kickoff time. So I thought that was pretty neat. I thought I'd get into that. All right, next up, let's go into wait a minute, where'd the overlay go? Oh, there it goes. All right, next up, this is some pretty big news right here. NCAA Division I cabinet okays a 5-year age-based eligibility. This happened on Tuesday. Under the new rule, athletes in all sports will be given 5 years of eligibility over 5 seasons once their college eligibility clock begins. The clock starts upon initial full-time enrollment in college or at the beginning of the academic year following their 19th birthday. So the academic year after their 19th birthday or upon initial full-time enrollment, whichever comes first. The move is meant to eliminate the need for red shirts and waivers, which have drawn scrutiny in recent years as athletes have sued the NCAA challenging the eligibility rules. While previous NCAA rules have served college sports well for a long time, NCAA President Charlie Baker says we all heard also loud and clear from members and student athletes that eligibility rules should be easier to understand. Okay. Athletes who just completed their 4th year of eligibility without a red shirt would not be granted an additional year. Schools will have flexibility in determining whether to use previous eligibility rules or the new age-based model for athletes with eligibility remaining after the 25-26 year. Prospects who graduated in the spring of 2026, this past year, back in May, will use the age-based model. Okay, so kind of a neat little story there. Hey, Terry. Hope you're doing well, man. How you doing? With these changes, the cabinet has taken decisive action for the benefit of student athletes in the system of D1 athletics, from Illinois AD and Cabinet Chairman Josh Whitman, who's on. For many student athletes who enroll in college eligibility immediately after high school, these changes will result in the opportunity to potentially compete for an additional season in their chosen sport. For campus officials and coaches, this change provides rules that are simpler to administer and easier to predict for roster management decisions. Well, all right then. So now you've got 5 years of eligibility. I guess after you turn 19, pretty much, or once you enroll in school, there will be exemptions for pregnancy and military, and I believe religious. So that's for like BYU, for example, for the Mormons. So anyway. So that's pretty big news. You got 5 years of eligibility. Pretty simple. I like it. I'm actually on board with that. All right. Next up, relocated NC State Virginia game to remain in week 0. So For those who don't know, this game was supposed to be played in Brazil week 0. Why were we playing an ACC game in Brazil? I have no idea. But Tuesday, the ACC announced that the D1 Football Bowl Subdivision, I can't even talk, Oversight Committee had approved a waiver to keep this game on its originally scheduled date of August 29th. This comes roughly 3 weeks after they had announced that it would not take place in Brazil and could not be conducted there. So now they're going to play week 0, and I believe the game is in Charlottesville. Let me pull it up here real quick so I don't give you the wrong info. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, that's not it. Yeah, here it is. Scheduled for August 29th. This comes roughly 3 weeks. Okay. So, yeah, it will be played in Charlottesville at Virginia Stadium. It originally agreed to a home-and-home non-con series that would not count in the ACC standings, but since games were added outside the league scheduling model after multiple waves of expansion, NC State won last year's game in Raleigh, but this year's game is now part of the conference slate as the ACC moves to a 9-game conference schedule like everybody else is doing. So anyway, no game in Brazil. They will play in Charlottesville. Last year they played in Raleigh, so it makes perfect sense. Thank you, Lord. We're putting it back on campus. Game should have never been. Whoever came up with the idea, in my opinion, of playing in Brazil was crazy anyways. But just my opinion. All right, we get that off of here. Next up, FBS committee has proposed changes to the practice schedule and the portal. We've got the D1 Football Oversight Committee is proposing changes to the off-season and preseason practice schedules. A shorter portal window has been proposed. And by the way, this news was today or yesterday? Yesterday, okay. It would go into effect for the 2027 season if approved. Here's your proposal. It would allow for 2 out-of-season practice sessions for a total of 21 practices, neither of which could exceed 5 weeks. College teams currently can hold 15 practices in the spring, but an NFL-like model with organized OTAs, off-season team activities, if you don't know what that means, for the late spring and early summer has gained popularity in recent years. The proposal also would reduce preseason practices from 25 to 21, which could be recorded during a 27-day span. So you have 21 practices in 27 days. According to the release, the committee noted that additional practice opportunities would be available during the spring and summer under the new out-of-season activities model, which warranted a 4-day reduction. In April, the Oversight Committee recommended the standard start of the season be moved up a week to what is currently known as Week 0 before Labor Day weekend. We got some more news on that here in just a minute. The committee's proposal would also reduce the portal window from 15 days to 10, so it would be a 10-day portal window. I'm cool with that. The portal would open on the first business day following January 1st. The portal opened earlier this year from January 2nd through the 16th as previously used. And also we had a spring portal window, but that was eliminated. The Oversight Committee's latest proposal would go to vote in August and, if approved, apply for the 2027 season. The committee also discussed changes to the off-campus recruiting model, which would increase the number of staff members allowed to recruit off-campus to 17, including the head coach, and create a yearly allotment of recruiting days at the okay. The off-campus recruiting concept could yield a formal proposal and go to vote later this summer, with implementation targeted for the 2021 season. Okay, so I'm cool with that. I'm cool with the different practice schedules. I'm cool with the proposed recruiting changes, just my opinion. I'm good with the portal window being shortened, as a matter of fact, to be honest with you. All right, so let me get that off. Bring this thing down. So, all right, our final news story we're going to touch on real quick. This actually dropped today, y'all. NCAA has adopted a 14-week football season, changes FCS to FBS bowl eligibility. Now, that part came yesterday. We'll talk about that real quick. So, the D1 football bowl submission is moving to a standardized 14-week season starting in the fall of 2027, following cabinet approval of a proposal advanced by the FBS Oversight Committee. Under the new structure, the season will begin in Week 0, the weekend prior to Labor Day, and conclude the week after Thanksgiving. The programs will continue to be permitted to schedule up to 12 games. So basically, 14 weeks, 12 games. Everybody's going to have 2 off weeks, which I get it. I get it. That's cool. I think that's perfectly fine. In years when the stretch from the Thursday before Labor Day, in years when the stretch from the Thursday before Labor Day through the final Saturday in November includes 14 Saturdays, FBS programs are expected to open their seasons in the traditional Week 1 window. The next time the calendar alignment occurs will be 2030 and 2031. Getting alert about a storm coming in. All right. So anyway, 14 weeks, 12 games, 2 off weeks. Season would start at the end of August instead of Labor Day, and then it would Labor Day weekend, and then it would conclude like it does already, which is the Saturday after Thanksgiving. I'm fine with that. The cabinet also signed off on 2 postseason policy changes that will take effect sooner. Beginning this year, teams reclassified from the FCS to the FBS will become eligible for bowl participation during the transition period, provided they meet all sports sponsorship and reclassification requirements, and otherwise quality as a deserving team. The new rule will apply, of course, to North Dakota State and Sacramento State, who are joining FBS this season, with the Bison in the Mountain West and Sacramento State and the MAC. In addition, the cabinet approved a revision to the process used when there are not enough bowl-eligible teams to fill all the slots. So in those cases, teams with 5 and 7 records may be selected as alternates. The academic progress rate will no longer determine the order in which those teams are chosen, though programs must still maintain at least a 930 APR to be considered. Let's just pray they don't have to do that, because I do not like seeing 5 and 7 teams in bowl games. I've hated it. It's been sad to see, to be honest with you. But what can you do? They're going to do what they can to play the games because they got to make the money. All right. So that is our news and notes for the week. I did not think I would take it that long, but that's okay. All right. Let's take our first break real quick. And then when we come back, we're going to get into our main story. We're going to look at conference games to watch this fall in the G6 leagues. See y'all in a second. All right, welcome back to 4th and 25 with Jrams. So we've kind of covered the non-conference games to watch this fall across the big leagues and across the Power 4 and the G6 and those schools. So now let's get into some conference games that I think could be huge and could shape the conference races this coming fall. Could be totally wrong, but you never know. Let my graphics load real quick. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to start and jump in with the conference games to watch in the fall. We'll start with our little old friends down at Conference USA. Let's see, Conference USA games. That's AAC. I got to find them. Sorry, y'all, just bear with me here. I didn't realize these things were out of whack. That's Pac-12. UConn, Mountain West. Where y'all at? No, that's the MAC. Okay. Jrams Conference USA games to watch this fall. Games that I think could shape up the Conference USA race. I wish I'd have put the weeks on here, but I did not. So, I came up with these using Bill Connolly's numbers on ESPN as far as returning production, projections, and all the other things that the teams have done in the offseason. So I'm kind of going off of that. Plus, some of these teams I think will definitely, of course, be in the mix. Okay, so Friday, October 2nd, we got Liberty at Delaware. I think Delaware is going to be us even better. They won 7 games last year, their first year in the conference, and their bowl win. They've got a lot of returning production on defense, especially. I do think Liberty's going to bounce back. I don't think they're going to stay down for long. So that's an interesting one. And then flip over to the following week on Wednesday night, October 7th. This is a big one. It's a conference title game rematch. Jacksonville State at Kennesaw State. These are two of the best teams in the conference. They were last year, obviously, and I think they're going to be again this year. We'll see how Jacksonville State makes up for the loss of Cam Cook. But, and by the way, in case anybody's wondering, in October, Conference USA plays midweek games. It's a TV deal. But anyway, Jacksonville State, Kennesaw State, that's a big one. Then the following week on October the 13th, a Tuesday night game, got FIU at Jacksonville State. We'll see what Willie Simmons' crew does. Could be an interesting team to keep an eye on down at FIU. They could be a dark horse. But they'll have a hands full at Jacksonville State. The very next night on the 14th, a couple of games. Kennesaw State, dangerous road trip. Maybe a game they overlook as they go to Missouri State. Now, Missouri State has a new coach, but we'll see where they're gelled at by this time. Western Kentucky headed to Sam Houston. Can't afford a letdown. Just saying. I know Sam Houston's been bad lately, but can't afford a letdown. Tuesday, October 20th, Missouri State is at Delaware that night. Both these teams could be trying to get to bowl eligibility. This is a game they both need. It could be a very pivotal game in the bowl sweepstakes. All right. Let's see. Next up, October 21st, the next night, Liberty at Kennesaw State. For those who remember 2 years ago, Liberty went to Kennesaw State and laid a big fat egg, and it was the only game Kennesaw State won in Conference USA that year. And then, of course, last year they come out and won the championship. But Liberty and Kennesaw is going to be interesting. I think that's a good one. 6 days later, Delaware's at Western Kentucky. Don't overlook that one. Hilltoppers. And then at the end of October, we start to go back to Saturday games. FIU at Liberty. These two had a good game a couple years ago up there at Liberty that came down to the wire. Could be a sneaky one to watch. The next week on November 7th, Delaware's at Kennesaw. Got Missouri State at FIU. Could be a couple of good ones to keep an eye on there. And then you flip to November 14th. Maybe this FIU Delaware game is for a good bowl spot, maybe. Jacksonville State at Western Kentucky. That could be a big one in the conference race. I don't have any doubt it won't be. November 21st. Look at this. We got Western Kentucky at Liberty. That's maybe a conference championship preview. Who knows? Middle Tennessee at Sam Houston. These could be the two worst teams in the conference, so somebody could be trying to at least win them a conference game. So got to give them a little slack, right? FIU at Kennesaw State. Who knows? Maybe that's a big one to keep an eye on. And then to close out our Conference USA slate, November 28th, the last week of the season, got some interesting ones here. You've got Kennesaw State at Western Kentucky. That could be for another one. Could they play the next week for the title? We'll see. New Mexico State at Middle Tennessee. Somebody could be playing just to get a win. Liberty at Missouri State. Trap game. Don't sleep through it, Liberty. Jacksonville State at Delaware. Could be another one where the home team could sneak up and bite the favorite, because I'm pretty sure that Jacksonville State will be favored. But watch out for Delaware, though, this fall. I think they're going to be sneaky good. All right, so that is Conference USA. Next up, let's take a look, and we'll move over to, what about the MAC? And by the way, I love this old logo. I love this old logo, so shout out to the MAC, by the way. Love that old logo. All right, what are some MAC games to keep an eye on in the fall? We will start with Week 0. Check this out. We're going to have a MAC game on Week 0. The newbie Sacramento State is coming up to Eastern Michigan. That game will be on ESPN Plus, I believe. But I mean, look, this game is more than likely not going to affect the conference race. But look, it's Sacramento State's first FBS game, and it's their first MAC game, and they're going to play on the gray field. So, some neat little storylines there, but be worth noting. Moving on to September 26th, we got Ball State at Kent State. Ball State needs to get a win in the MAC. They're struggling. Now, Kent State won 5 games last year. They showed a lot of improvement. They need to win these games to get closer to their goal, which is getting to the postseason. Saturday, October 3rd. These are two games that should be huge in the race, I think. Bowling Green headed to Miami, Ohio. As long as Chuck Martin is in Oxford, Ohio, the Red Hawks will be a contender, in my opinion. Western Michigan headed to Buffalo. Buffalo took a step back, but sure, I think they'll rebound. Western Michigan, I'm very high on that football team. A lot of returning production. Flipping to October 10th, Buffalo's at Toledo. That could be a good one. Now, Toledo, new coach, a lot of new faces, but Toledo seems to handle transition pretty well. October 17th, you see Western Michigan on there at Central Michigan, a great in-state rivalry for those who don't know. Central Michigan, of course, is going through an offensive transition. Can they get better? A good chance to upset a team that's probably going to be heavily favored. All right, October 24th, we've got Miami, Ohio going to Central Michigan. Don't sleep on that one, Red Hawks. You got Western Michigan going to Toledo. That should be a good one. We'll see where Toledo is by then, but that place will probably be loud for that game if I had to guess. Got a comment from somebody on here. Miami, Ohio, and Ohio, always a good game. Absolutely, absolutely, my man. Great rivalry between the Red Hawks and the Bobcats. Good old MAC series. Yeah, we're almost to that one. November 3rd, Buffalo's at Miami, Ohio. We'll see where Buffalo is by then. Could they have an upset on their mind, or could the Red Hawks just look at them and go, poof? We'll see. That's on November 3rd. That's when we get into MACtion. For those who don't know, midweek MAC games in the month of November. Let's see. Wednesday, November 4th, Central Michigan and Eastern Michigan. Lie in Detroit. So they're going to play this game at Ford Field. I wouldn't normally say why, but since it's in the state of Michigan, surely some fans will still come, I guess. But no. Could be a big game as far as bowl positioning and bowl eligibility in that conference. November 10th, we were just talking about this in the comments. You got Ohio coming up to Miami, Ohio. Always a good game. One really good coach and an up-and-coming coach. Bobcats, Red Hawks should be good. Could have implications on who gets to the MAC championship game. 8 days later, I've got Central Michigan and Buffalo. That's on my list. Could be a good one. 2 days later, I made note of this one, Bowling Green and Toledo, the battle of I-75 or I-25. I think it's 75, but don't hold me to that. They play for a trophy. Big rivalry game in this conference. Yeah, Detroit is the heart of MAC since the champ game. Yeah, good point. I guess it makes sense. That does make sense. So, that is the heart of MAC country. I wonder if that's where their offices are. Anyway, but Bowling Green and Toledo, that's going to be a huge rivalry game. For those who don't know, there is a rocket at Toledo Stadium that is aimed at Bowling Green's field. That tells you how neat the little rivalry is. And then, to conclude, let's see. Yeah, here we go. November 24th, Miami, Ohio's at Western Michigan. That's a Tuesday night before Thanksgiving game. Could be a MAC championship preview. And then on Black Friday, Toledo at Ohio. So, interesting games there in the MAC. That's going to be an interesting conference race. I'm high on Western Michigan, but there's also other good teams to make note of in that conference. All right, so that's the MAC. Let's move over to another conference. Uh-oh. Hang on here. I'm a little slow. Y'all give me just a second. Freak. I hate when this happens. It pisses me off so bad. Curious what Bowling Green would do this year. Eddie George, for a first year, improved his team. Lost a lot of close games in the MAC. Yeah. Going to be a very interesting watch to see if how much more they improve under him. I like Eddie George. Did a good job, I think, in Tennessee State. And I'm glad to see him in the MAC. So, be interesting to see what that team looks like this fall. All right. Next up, let's look at the Mountain West, a conference that has, let's just say, been through a lot of transition. They got gutted, and they restocked, sort of, but hey, they're still here at least. So, Mountain West games. We'll start with September 5th. Now, this is a good one. UNLV's at Hawaii. Two solid teams, had good years last year. I think they're both going to be in the thick of the race. September 12th, you see it, North Dakota State going to Air Force. I think that is the Bison's first Mountain West game. Yeah, that is their first Mountain West Conference game. Expect that game to have a pretty quick pace because they're both going to run the football. September 26th, we got Hawaii going to Wyoming. Don't really know what to think of Wyoming yet. They've obviously been struggling here lately, but see how Hawaii handles the higher elevation. October 3rd, UTEP at New Mexico. UTEP, of course, is now in the Mountain West. I think those two were rivals at one time. Now, I know they were rivals with New Mexico State, but if this ain't, maybe this develops into a little Southwestern rivalry. October 10th, I've got two games, even though I just realized something. Oh, crap. Hold on. I think I just realized something. We got a typo. Hang on here. Let me fix something for y'all real quick. Yep, we got to fix that. Oops. Oh, well. Let's do this. Week 10. I see I got North Dakota State's on there twice. I'm sorry, guys. Oh, Saturday, October 10th. I'm an idiot. Let me get my schedule fixed. Okay. So, North Dakota State that day will be at UNLV, and Air Force is at Northern Illinois. I don't know why that got UNLV on there. I'm sorry. That is the day Air Force goes to Northern Illinois for their first home game in the Mountain West. North Dakota State's at UNLV. That could be an interesting game. Took Northern Illinois under 4.5 games to win this year. Going to be a crap show. They go from playing run first Midwest MAC schools to air it out Mountain West teams. Yeah. They're definitely going to be one of the lower ones on projected win totals. Plus head coaching change, late head coaching change. Don't have really high expectations for the Huskies myself. So I'm right there with you. Okay. So anyway, sorry for the typo, guys. October 10th, North Dakota State's at UNLV, and that's supposed to be Air Force at Northern Illinois. Moving on. October 17th, UNLV at Air Force, New Mexico at Hawaii. And guys, if you followed the Mountain West last year, what a story New Mexico was. Jason Egg did a great job in their 9-win season. Could be pretty good again this year, and they're definitely a favorite in the conference race. But here they are going to Hawaii. There's San Jose State, UTEP. The only reason I put that game on here, it might be a bottom of the barrel bowl, or it might be just to get a conference win bowl, or it could be one that helps one of them sneak into the bowl picture. I don't know. But pretty busy day there. Friday, October 23rd, there's Air Force at Wyoming. Could be an interesting game. October 24th, I do think North Dakota State and New Mexico is going to be interesting. San Jose State's at Nevada. That could be just for pride as far as winning a conference game. November 14th, maybe this is your conference championship game in a preview. UNLV at New Mexico. Very possible. I think they could be the two best teams. North Dakota State going to Hawaii. Hard to believe we are in an era now where North Dakota State and Hawaii is an FBS conference game. Crazy, crazy, crazy. November 20th, New Mexico headed to Wyoming. Don't be sleepwalking and Lobos going up there into that higher elevation of beautiful Laramie, Wyoming. Okay, and then we'll move to November 21st. We've got Northern Illinois at North Dakota State. That's crazy. And then Black Friday, Air Force at New Mexico. That should be fun. Could be a game that has conference implications. Who knows? And then to close out, I've got Nevada at UNLV. If you don't know the G6 rivalries really well, this one's kind of underrated. These two teams hate each other, and they play for, I think it's a Cannon. Pretty cool trophy. But Nevada, UNLV, and then UTEP at Northern Illinois. That UTEP Northern Illinois game could literally be to determine who finishes in last place. Oh, all right. So that's the Mountain West. How about we go to a conference that is coming back from the dead? Ladies and gentlemen, they are back, sort of. The Pac-12. And they have a new logo. This is the old logo. I don't have the new logo on here, but this is their old logo. But anyway, here are some games to watch in the reborn Pac-12 as they kick off their rebirth season. of 8 schools. October 3rd, we've got Oregon State going to Colorado State. We've got Fresno State at Wazoo. Texas State at San Diego State. These are 3 games that could be interesting. I'm not very high on Colorado State right now. It's first year of Jim Moore. Oregon State's bad, but can they get better under their new coach? We'll see. But these other 2, I think, could have a big implications on the title picture right out of the gate. I think Fresno's going to probably have some high expectations. Don't know how Texas State is going to handle this transition in year 1, but San Diego State should be solid. A week later, you've got Boise going to Fresno. If for those of you who've watched the sport for many years like me, like I have, Boise and Fresno go way back to the WAC, the Mountain West. Now here, they've had some great battles. Maybe this is your conference championship preview. Maybe not. October 17th, we've got Washington State and Oregon State, the last 2 from the original Pac-12, the old Pac-12. And now they will battle as conference foes again. Fresno State at San Diego State in-state rivalry. They play for an oil can. That is true. If you have not looked it up, look it up. They do play for an oil can. But that's a big one, I think. October 24th, Boise State headed to Washington State. See how the Broncos handle the trip up to Pullman. October 31st, you got Colorado State at Utah State. Maybe this one's for pride. Maybe it's involving with bowl eligibility. We got Washington State at San Diego State. Texas State at Boise State. Ever think you'd hear the words Texas State and Boise State as a Pac-12 game? I didn't. November 7th, we've got Fresno State at Utah State. Maybe this is a trap game. Don't sleep, Bulldogs. And then you got Texas State at Oregon State. Another one of those that's weird. It's a Pac-12 game. But anyway, interesting games. November 14th, we got Fresno State at Texas State, Oregon State, Boise State. November 21st, maybe this is your conference championship game preview. I don't know. San Diego State at Boise State. That should be a good one on the blue turf. And then the final week of the season, as you see right there, it says flex games. This is the first time I've ever heard of a conference doing flex games. These games will not count in the conference standings, but I do have them on here. They are subject to change, but maybe these are big games. We'll see. All right, so that's the reborn Pac-12. All right, next up, we got the Sun Belt. Let's take a look at the Sun Belt Conference games to watch this fall. We will start with September 26th. You've got JMU headed up to Old Dominion. Billy Napier is, of course, the head coach now at James Madison. He comes after his mess at Florida. JMU brought a few guys back from last year's CFP team that decided to stay. Old Dominion had a really good team last year. Unfortunately, they lost a really good dual threat QB. He jumped in the portal and went to Wisconsin. But there's still some solid pieces there, so keep an eye on this game in the East Division race. For those who remember, the Sun Belt is the last conference that has divisions. Everybody else got rid of them. October 3rd, Marshall at JMU. Marshall, I do think, is going to be very much improved. We'll see how that one goes. Arkansas State at UL Lafayette that same day. Should be a big game of the West Division race, in my opinion. Tuesday night game, October 6th, we got Southern Miss headed to Troy. We'll see what the Golden Eagles look like under Blake Anderson in year 1. They did lose a lot of guys. Several guys went with Charles Huff to Memphis. Troy has a solid QB when he's upright and a good special teams game too. So interesting game. 4 days later, October 10th, we've got Old Dominion headed to Appalachia State. Beautiful Boone, North Carolina. That could be a big game. James Madison's at Georgia Southern. This is one of those games where I look at it and say, be careful, JMU. Louisiana Lafayette going to Louisiana Tech also this day. For those who remember, Louisiana Tech is coming to the Sun Belt. They're actually coming back. I think they were in the Sun Belt once upon a time. But it'll be cool to see this game, as this rivalry game again. All right, October 15th, we got Georgia Southern at Old Dominion. Friday, October 16th, Appalachia State and Coastal Carolina. Don't really know what to think of Coastal right now with the new coach and a lot of new turnover there. But App State and Coastal Carolina, for those who've been watching the Sun Belt for years, know that this has been a great series. October 17th, Troy going to UL Lafayette that day. Arkansas State's at Southern Miss. 5 days later, a Thursday night game, October 22nd, JMU is at App State. That could be a big one up in Boone. 2 days later, Old Dominion's at Louisiana Tech. Sneaky good game, maybe. UL Lafayette at Southern Miss. That should be a good one in the West Division race. Thursday night, October 29th, we got a rematch of this past year's Sun Belt Championship as Troy is at JMU again. But this JMU is a lot different than the one Troy played last year, so we'll see. And then November, wait a minute. That was October 29th. Okay, October 31st. Wait a minute. I'm missing something here. Wait a minute. Okay, wait a minute. I gotta find my stuff's out of whack. Sorry, guys. All right, here we go. October 31st. Marshall's at Old Dominion. Appalachian State at Georgia Southern. That'll be a good one. That's another good series. Georgia Southern and App State go back to the FCS Southern Conference days, and now, of course, they're rivals in the Sun Belt. November 5th, James Madison at Southern Miss. Interesting to see where the Golden Eagles are by this point. Who knows? And then the final week of the final one I made note of is November 7th. Louisiana Tech at Troy, Old Dominion at Coastal Carolina, Marshall at Georgia Southern. I cannot believe I don't have more games on here for that, but that's interesting. Okay. Alright. I think I'm missing something. Oh well. Alright, so we'll just kind of shut it down right there. Okay, so we've got the Sun Belt, and now we'll jump to the American. Let's take a look at their conference and some games coming up this fall that I made note of. Starting with September 12th, check this one. You got USF going to Army. Army's got some good pieces back on that offense, but that offensive line is probably one of the best kept secrets, one of the most underrated O-lines, but they have been a Joe Moore Award winner, and their center, Brady Small, might be the best center in the country that most people don't even know that about. South Florida, of course, now is under Brian Hartline's coaching as he's their new head coach. Had the best portal class in the G6, so should be a really good game there. September 25th, Army going up to Temple. That is a Friday afternoon game at 3 o'clock. Why in the world on September 25th? I have no idea. But be careful, Army. Temple's going to be improved. Navy headed to UAB. This is another game where I say the away team is favored, but you cannot overlook it. October 3rd, you got UTSA headed to Rice. Roadrunners, be careful against that option attack of Rice. 5 days later, October 8th, South Florida's at UTSA. This could be a big one in the conference race, maybe your conference title preview. October 10th, 2 days later, Tulane and Army, a rematch of the title game 2 years ago. Rice at East Carolina, could be a shootout. Who knows? East Carolina's a big mystery too. UAB at Memphis. The only reason I got that game on here, Memphis lost last year in Birmingham to UAB. Memphis is going to want payback. So, I feel for you, UAB. I feel for you. All right. October 16th, Memphis at Tulane. Could be a big one in the conference race between two of the conference's premier programs. Next week, Navy at UTSA on the 7th. Oh, sorry, not next week, the next day. Memphis Tulane's a Friday game. That Saturday, Navy's at UTSA. Hard to believe it, but Navy has not played UTSA yet since they've been in the conference at the same time. That is crazy to think that this has not happened, but now it's going to. Thursday, October 22nd, East Carolina's at Memphis. Interesting game, potentially. And before I forget, Memphis, I think, returned one starter from last year on the whole team. So there's a lot of new for Charles Huff as he takes over, but they're expected to still be good. October 24th, you got UTSA at Tulane. Could be interesting. I'm not sold on Will Hall as Tulane's head coach, but that's just me. We'll see. October 31st, Army at Memphis. I think that's a potentially good one. Thursday, November 5th, I made note of this one. UTSA is at FAU. Do not overlook the Owls. They had one of the best passing offenses in the country last year with Caden Vetkamp at quarterback. I know they won 4 games, but be careful, UTSA. You've been warned. November 6th, South Florida headed to East Carolina. November 12th, USF at Memphis. That should be a good one. November 14th, Tulane at Rice. I've kept Rice on here a few times. I know they only won 5 last year, and they're in their second year of the Scott Abel era. But their offense alone is an option-based attack now, so they're going to be an interesting team to watch. They host Tulane November 14th. November 21st, East Carolina at Army, Memphis at Navy. That's 2 games that I think will have an impact on the conference race. South Florida at Florida Atlantic. And then finally, on the last week of the season, you got Army at Rice, and then Tulane at South Florida. Maybe that's your conference title game preview. Who knows? All right. So that's the American. Sorry. I pressed the wrong button here. All right. So before we move to our next one, how could I forget an independent? So we've only got 2 independents, pretty much a G6 independent, and then, of course, Notre Dame. So here's UConn. Here is the Huskies and their 2026 schedule. Let me find it on here. My notes on where will I put it? Okay. So what are some big games for UConn as we head into the season? They, of course, now are in the Jason Candle era. He comes over from Toledo. They've had back-to-back 9-win bowl seasons. They've been very impressive. They've beaten some ACC teams. Let's see. You open up with Lafayette. Maryland is winnable. You're at home. Maryland's in kind of turmoil right now. They have fallen really bad and they're struggling. I think that is a golden opportunity. Then you go to Southern Miss. That's winnable. You got to go to Miami, Ohio. That's going to be a challenge. You got Syracuse at home. Syracuse is down right now. They're not really good. At Temple, buckle up your chin straps. Bye week, a Friday night game against arch rival UMass. You should win that game. Got to go to Air Force. That's going to be tough. North Carolina's at home. Got a feeling North Carolina ain't forgot that bowl game a couple years ago. James Madison will be tough. Old Dominion will be tough. And then at Wyoming. But some games that I think that could shape their season big time are Maryland, Syracuse, and North Carolina. Those are big opportunities for the Huskies this fall. All right. So that was our main topic for this show. All right. So I'm going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll jump into our looking back series of former college football seasons. We will jump into and look at the 1984 season, which produced a surprising national champion like this past year did. All right. I will see you guys in just a little bit.
To hate Andrew Anderson, spitting truth that just can't wait. Got a podcast like a punch right to your face. College sports villain, taking it over the place. I bring the facts whether you like it or not. Dropping truth bombs, giving it all I got. They call me a villain. Well, I wear that badge with pride. Nothing but secrets they try to hide. Hard rock in my veins, rebellious to the core. I won't back down, won't take it anymore. The bad guy of the podcast world, that's me. Unleashing the truth, setting it all free. Unleashing the truth.
Can be demoralizing. All right. Welcome back to 4th and 25 with Jrams. Hope y'all having a good day. Hope you're staying safe. Hope you're staying smart out there. All right. Let's see. We got a little bit of a glitch here. Hold on just a second. Sorry about that. All right. So, We've been doing a little series the past several weeks called Looking Back, where we look back at past college football seasons of the past, just remembering and reminiscing on for fun. We've done, for example, we did one from the 40s, we did 2002, we've done one from the 70s, the 90s, just kind of been all over the place. So for this year, it's kind of a homage to what Indiana did last year when they won the national title. We're going to look back at the 1984 season, which produced a different national champion too. So before we get into that, there was a lot of rule changes in 1984. We had defensive pass interference was penalized 15 yards from the previous spot if the foul occurred more than 15 yards downfield. If the foul occurred 15 yards or less downfield, the penalty would be enforced at the spot of the foul. Kickoffs that go through the back of the end zone or out of bounds in the end zone in the air untouched will be brought out to the 30 instead of the 20. Clipping is limited to an area of 6 to 10 yards from the line of scrimmage. Receivers were only permitted to block below the waist once the ball passes the line of scrimmage. Eliminating the PAT if the game had been decided and if both teams agreed. Offensive face masking is now a foul, also penalized 15 yards. All right, so let's jump into it. Let's jump into the season. The college football season pretty much started on August 27th of that year. Yeah, August 27th through September 1st. So, number one, Auburn, who was the preseason AP poll was led by Auburn, Nebraska, Pittsburgh, Clemson, and UCLA. That was your preseason top five. So, that opening weekend, number one Auburn faced off against defending national champion number 10 Miami in the second annual Kickoff Classic. In an early warning of a topsy-turvy season, Miami would take Auburn down 20-18, holding the legendary Auburn running back Bo Jackson to just 96 yards rushing. Holy crap. 5 days later, Miami would also beat number 17 Florida 32-20. Number 3 Pitt would be stunned, losing to BYU 20-14. The Panthers would soon drop out of the polls and finish with a very disappointing 3-7-1 record. Number 4 Clemson would beat Appalachian State 40-7. Number 2 Nebraska, number 5 UCLA, and number 6 Texas had not kicked off their seasons yet. So the new AP top 5 was Miami, Nebraska, Clemson, UCLA, and Texas. So, September 8th, number 1 Miami played their third straight ranked opponent, and this time they were stunned and they lost to number 14 Michigan 22-14. Number 2 Nebraska began their season with a 42-7 win over Wyoming. Number 3 Clemson was shut out Virginia 55-0. Number 4 UCLA struggled to beat San Diego State but won 18-15. The win dropped them out of the top 5. Number 5 Texas has still not started their schedule. Number 10 Iowa beat arch rival Iowa State 59-21, impressing the voters enough to make a big jump. So the new poll was Nebraska, Clemson, Michigan, Texas, and then you had Iowa and Miami tied at number 5. September 15th, number 1 Nebraska beat Minnesota 38-7. Number 2 Clemson was off. Number 3 Michigan would lose to number 16 Washington 20-11. Number 4 Texas finally opened their season beating number 11 Auburn 35-27. Man, so many good ranked versus ranked games. Number 5 Miami bounced back with a 28-17 win at Purdue. Number 5 Iowa was not as successful as they lost to number 12 Penn State 20-17. The Hawkeyes conference rival number 9 Ohio State shut out Washington State 44-0 and moved up. And the next polls to the top 5 was Nebraska, Clemson, Texas, Miami, and Ohio State. All right. Oop, these things are out of order. Sorry about that, yo. Let's see. Let's up. Damn it. Let me find it. I'll just hang tight. I gotta find this stuff. Okay. September 22nd. Number 1 Nebraska blasted number 8 UCLA 42-3. They had outscored their first three opponents 122-17. Number 2 Clemson lost to number 20 Georgia 26-23 on a 60-yard field goal with 11 seconds left. Number 3 Texas was off again. Number 4 Miami took its second loss on the chin as they were blown out. Wow. By number 15 Florida State 38-3. Number 5 Ohio State beat number 14 Iowa 45-26. Number 7 Penn State, which had beaten Iowa the previous week, would win 56-18 over William and Mary. Number 10 Boston College hosted North Carolina and won 52-20. So the new top 5 was Nebraska, Texas, Ohio State, Penn State, and Boston College. September 29th, number 1 Nebraska would lose 17-9 at Syracuse. Holy crap. Number 2 Texas squared off against number 4 Penn State and would be victorious 28-3. Number 3 Ohio State would win at Minnesota 35-22. Number 5 Boston College was off. Number 6 Washington dominated Miami, Ohio 53-7. Number 7 Oklahoma beat Kansas State 24-7. So the new top 5 was Texas, Ohio State, Washington, Boston College, and Oklahoma. All right, October 6th. Number 1 Texas would win at Rice 38-13. But number 2 Ohio State was upset as they lost to Purdue 28-23. Number 3 Washington beat Oregon State 19-7. Number 4 Boston College was again idle, as was number 5 Oklahoma. Number 7 BYU would win at Colorado State 59-9 and moved up in the next poll. Number 1 Texas, Washington was 2, Oklahoma 3, Boston College 4, and BYU was number 5. October 13th, the Red River shootout between number 1 Texas and number 3 Oklahoma ended in a controversial 15-15 tie after the officials nullified an Oklahoma pick in the end zone, allowing the Longhorns to kick a game-tying field goal as time expired. Ties. Number 2 Washington moved up with a 37-15 win at Stanford. Number 4 Boston College returned to the field with a 24-10 win over Temple. Number 5 BYU struggled to beat Wyoming, winning 41-38. Number 6 Nebraska's 33-23 win over Missouri moved them up. The new top 5 was Washington, Oklahoma, Texas, Boston College, and Nebraska. October 20th. For the first time all year, number 1 and number 2 both won on the same weekend. Number 1 Washington beat Oregon 17-10. Number 2 Oklahoma made a late comeback to beat Iowa State 12-10. Number 3 Texas won 24-18 over Arkansas. Number 4 Boston College would be upset though, losing to number 20 West Virginia 21-20. Number 5 Nebraska beat Colorado 24-7. Number 7 BYU beat Air Force 30-25. Moving up. So your new top 5 was Washington, Oklahoma, Texas, Nebraska, and BYU. And then the last week of October, number 1 Washington hosted Arizona, winning 28-12. However, number 2 Oklahoma was upset, losing at Kansas 28-11. Holy crap. Number 3 Texas would win 13-7 over number 14 SMU. Number 4 Nebraska blasted Kansas State 62-14. Number 5 BYU would blanket poor New Mexico 48-0. And number 9 South Carolina beat East Carolina 42-20. So the new top 5 that week was Washington, Texas, Nebraska, BYU, and South Carolina. All right, November 3rd. Washington, number 1, beat Cal 44-14. Number 2 Texas would squeak past Texas Tech 13-10. Number 3 Nebraska shut out Iowa State that day 44-0. Leading the two teams to switch places in the next poll. Number 4 BYU beat UTEP 42-9. Number 5 South Carolina would win over NC State that day 35-28. So the new top 5 was Washington, Nebraska, Texas, BYU, and South Carolina. November 10th. Holy crap, this was a busy day. Number 1 Washington went from first to second in their conference as they would lose at USC 16-7 to the 14th ranked Trojans. Since the Trojans had the head-to-head advantage, they were one game ahead in the standings with just one more to play. This ensured a Rose Bowl trip for the Trojans. Number 2, Nebraska beat Kansas 41-7. Number 3, Texas would lose to Houston 29-15. After a 6-0-1 start, the Longhorns were going to lose 4 of their last 5 games. Now the only remaining undefeated teams were decidedly untraditional powers. Number 4, BYU defeated San Diego State 34-3. And then number 5, South Carolina won 38-26 over number 11, Florida State. Number 7, Oklahoma State, whose only loss was to Nebraska, beat Missouri 31-13. Florida, number 10, which had started the season under a cloudless coach, Charlie Pill, was forced to resign due to recruiting violations. Holy cow. Had caught fire under interim coach Galen Hall and shut out number 8 Georgia 27-0 for their 7th straight win. The new poll was Nebraska. South Carolina was number 2, BYU was 3rd, Oklahoma State was 4, and Florida was number 5. All right. November 17th, number 1 Nebraska finished their season with a disappointing loss 17-7 to number 6 Oklahoma. Number 2 South Carolina also lost as they fell 38-21 to Navy. All right. 38-21 to Navy. This opened the door for number 3 BYU, which moved to the number 1 ranking with a 24-14 win over Utah. Number 4 Oklahoma State beat Iowa State 16-10. Number 5 Florida would win at Kentucky 25-17 to clinch the SEC title. However, due to the Gators' recruiting violations, the Sugar Bowl berth would go to the second place team, which was number 9 LSU. Number 8 Washington would close their schedule with a 38-29 win over Washington State. So the new top 5 was BYU, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Florida, and Washington. Winding down here, November 23rd through the 24th. Oh, wait. Okay, number 1 BYU finished the year with the 38-13 win over. Okay, number 1 BYU finished the year undefeated with a 38-13 win over Utah State. And then number 2 Oklahoma faced number 3 Oklahoma State in Bedlam for the Big 8 title. The Sooners would win it 24-14 to take the Orange Bowl berth. Number 4 Florida was off. Number 5 Washington and number 7 Nebraska had finished their seasons. The famous Hail Flutie also took place this weekend as number 10 Boston College beat number 12 Miami on the famous last-second 48-yard touchdown pass by Doug Flutie. One of the greatest plays in the history of college football. That was the greatest play in Boston College history, the Hail Flutie. So the top 5 was BYU, Oklahoma, Florida, Washington, and Nebraska. December 1st. The only highly ranked team which had not finished its schedule was number 3 Florida, which closed with a 27-17 win over Florida State, who was number 12. The rankings in the final poll would remain the same: BYU, Oklahoma, Florida, Washington, and Nebraska. So, as the champions of the WAC, number 1 BYU was tied to the Holiday Bowl, where they would face an underwhelming opponent in unranked Michigan. Michigan had finished 6-5 that year, I believe. Yeah, 6-5. The highest ranked bowl matchup would be the Orange Bowl, as number 2 Oklahoma faced number 4 Washington. The Sugar Bowl would be number 5 Nebraska versus number 11 LSU. The Rose Bowl would be number 6 Ohio State and number 18 USC. And then the Cotton Bowl would be number 8 Boston College against Houston, who was the Southwest Conference champion. Houston and Boston College. Interesting. All right. Here's a quick thing of who all won the conferences that year. Maryland was the ACC champion at 9-3, 5-0. The Big 8, of course, Nebraska and Oklahoma tied at 6-1 each. Oklahoma, of course, had the tiebreaker, beating Nebraska. Ohio State was the Big 10 champion. Toledo was the MAC champion. The Missouri Valley was still in FBS, or was D1 at the time, so Tulsa was the champion. The PCAA, the Pacific Coast Athletic Association, Cal State Fullerton had a phenomenal season. They went 12-0, 7-0 to win that conference. USC won the Pac-10. LSU was your SEC They didn't technically win the SEC, but they got to go because Florida was ineligible. SMU and Houston tied for the Southwest Conference title, but Houston had the tiebreaker. BYU won the WAC, and then of course Boston College and South Carolina were the best independents that year with 10-2 records. All right, so let's look at notable rivalry games from that year. SMU beat TCU. Alabama would win the Iron Bowl over Auburn. West Virginia beat Pitt. TCU beat Baylor. Arizona beat Arizona State. Florida State, as we talked about, clobbered Miami. Florida beat Florida State. Florida beat Georgia. Georgia Tech beat Georgia. Iowa beat Iowa State. LSU beat Tulane. Michigan State beat Michigan. Army would beat Navy. Notre Dame beat USC that year. Ohio State beat Michigan. Oklahoma beat Nebraska. Oklahoma beat Oklahoma State. Oregon beat Oregon State. South Carolina and Clemson was 22-21. Gamecocks. Texas and Oklahoma tied. UCLA beat USC. Washington beat Washington State. Minnesota beat Wisconsin. BYU beat Utah. Texas A&M clobbered Texas. Pitt beat Penn State. Kansas State beat Kansas. So that was that. All right. The Heisman Trophy. This would, of course, go to Boston College legend Doug Flutie. He ran away with it with 678 first-place votes. Second was Keith Byers of Ohio State. Robbie Bosco at BYU was third. Bertie Kosar of Miami was fourth. But it wasn't even close. Doug Flutie was your Heisman Trophy winner. Next up, other award winners. Doug Flutie of BC also was the Maxwell Award winner for the best player in the country. He also won the Walter Camp Award and the Davey O'Brien Award. So Doug Flutie racked up on awards, if you haven't noticed. The Lombardi Award, which went to the best lineman or linebacker, was Tony DeGrade of Texas. Bruce Smith of Virginia Tech won the Outland Trophy. And then Lavelle Edwards of BYU was your winner for the Paul Bear Bryant Award, which goes to the best coach in the country. All right, next up, FCS wins over FBS programs. Let's see. So Southwest Louisiana would beat Chattanooga 9-7. Chattanooga was still D1 at the time. Ball State, Murray State beat Louisville. Furman beat NC State, just to name a couple. Let's see. Oh, and Indiana State beat Louisville. Southern Miss lost to Northwestern State that year, and Youngstown State beat Cincinnati. Just to give you a couple of them. All right, next up, let's go to the... Oh, sorry, I meant to take that off. All right, let's go to the bowl season before we get to our final bowls. The other bowls. So Oklahoma State would beat South Carolina in the Gator Bowl 21-14. I bet that was a good game. SMU beat Notre Dame in the Aloha Bowl 27-20. Florida State and Georgia tied in the Citrus Bowl. Stupid ties. Auburn beat Arkansas in the Liberty Bowl that year. Iowa crushed Texas in the Freedom Bowl that year. Kentucky beat Wisconsin 20-19 in the Hall of Fame Bowl. Virginia beat Purdue in the Peach Bowl. Maryland beat Tennessee by 1 in the Sun Bowl. Air Force clobbered Virginia Tech in the Independence Bowl. West Virginia beat TCU in the Blue Bonnet Bowl. The Cherry Bowl, Army beat Michigan State 10-6. That game, I believe, was in Detroit, Michigan at not Ford Field, dang it. The Pontiac Silverdome. You older folks know the Pontiac Silverdome. But anyway, Army beat Michigan State. And then UNLV would beat Toledo in the California Bowl 30-13. And then the big bowl games. Sorry about that. I'm over here pressing the wrong ones. The Fiesta Bowl, we saw UCLA beat Miami in a 39-37 thriller. Boston College beat Houston 45-28 in the Cotton Bowl. Good win for them. USC beat Ohio State in a really good Rose Bowl, 20-17. Nebraska beat LSU in the Sugar Bowl that year, 28-10. The Orange Bowl, Washington beat Oklahoma, 28-17. And then in the Holiday Bowl, BYU beat Michigan 24-17, which led to a big controversy as BYU would be crowned the 1984 national champions. This is the AP final poll. Your top 20. Virginia was 20th, Kentucky 19th, Miami 18th, Florida State 17, Iowa 16, LSU 15, Auburn 14, Ohio State 13, Maryland was 12, South Carolina finished 11th. Top 10 was USC 10, UCLA 9, SMU 8, Oklahoma State 7, Oklahoma 6, Boston College 5th, Nebraska 4th, Florida was 3rd, Washington was 2nd, and BYU was number 1. And then in the coaches poll, not much different. Florida State was 20th, Kentucky 19th, 18 through 16 was West Virginia, LSU, Iowa, Auburn, South Carolina, Ohio State, Miami, UCLA, USC, SMU, Florida. Oklahoma was 6. Your top 5, Oklahoma State, BC, Nebraska, Washington, and the BYU Cougars, your 1984 national champions. So BYU has a national championship. It was 1984. Many people did not think they deserved it because they played what they called a weaker schedule. Yes, the WAC was not as good as the Big 8 or the Pac-10 or anything like that. But it is what it is. BYU was the national champions. All right. Next up, let's jump in. We're going to do this real quick. We'll speed it up here a little bit. We just went over an hour, but that's okay. Our Rivalries Lost series, we're only highlighting one this week. We're going to look back on, now this one still does get played occasionally, just not much. We are going to take a look back at the Pittsburgh Penn State rivalry. Let me get these images loaded up real quick for you. Almost done. Come on. All right. Let's take a look back at this rivalry between Pittsburgh and Penn State. Look at this picture. Dan Marino, quarterback for the Pitt Panthers. I think that's Dan Marino. Is that Tony Dorsett? I can't really tell, but those are two Pitt legends. Here's a couple of old images from some of their old meetings. Pitt and Penn State, November. I can't see exactly what image that is. Here's another one from the 40s. But a great rivalry that goes way back. Pittsburgh's old stadium. This used to be on Pitt's own campus stadium. And then, of course, one of their last more recent rivalries, I think Kenny Pickett is that quarterback for Pitt right there. But, yeah, this used to be an every year thing, man, between Pittsburgh and Penn State. All right. Sorry about that. Took me a second to get it to load. Okay, so they have actually played 100 times. Penn State leads the series 53-43, 4 ties. They have the largest win in 1903, 59-0. The first meeting took place November 6th of 1893. Penn State would win it 32-0. The last time these two teams played was in 2019. Penn State won that game 17-10. It was a really good game. Remember that. Pittsburgh has the longest winning streak in it, 14 from 1922 to 1938. And Penn State has won the last 3 that these teams actually played. Sorry about that. Penn State won 12 of the first 15, but Pitt then went on to dominate for a while, going 21-2 from 1913 to 1940. They had a 14-game winning streak in it. Pitt coach Jack Sutherland never lost to Penn State, 1924 to 1938. And then from 1941 to 1951, it was a much more even series, as Pitt went 6-5 in that span. From 1952 on, Penn State has dominated, going 34-13 with 2 ties, including wins in 10 of the last 12. Former Penn State and college football legend coach Joe Paterno went 23-7 and 1 against Pittsburgh from 1966 through 1992, and then in 1997 through 2000. This was once considered one of the most important rivalries north of the Mason-Dixon line. This interstate rivalry was deemed the biggest annual game for both schools for a large part of their histories. The game had often regional and national implications, with the winner often claiming the Eastern College football supremacy and the respected Lambert Meadows Trophy, which went to the best program in the East. Sorry, you can't see the top really well, but 1976, Pitt was number one, and they faced Penn State at Three River Stadium on the night after Thanksgiving, Black Friday. November 26th, the score was tied 7-7 at halftime. Pitt's coach Johnny Majors moved Tony Dorsett to fullback for the second half, and then Pittsburgh went on to win the game 24-7, finishing 11-0 on their way to beating Georgia in the Sugar Bowl for their first national title in 39 years at the time. 1981, another one for the ages. Pitt was undefeated 10-0 and number one in the country, ready to claim the national title of Beast in the East. Penn State had other ideas when they came to town. The game featured two junior quarterbacks, Dan Marino of Pitt and Todd Blackledge of Penn State, two really good players back in their day. Pitt went up 14-0 in the first quarter. Penn State tied it at 14 at halftime. The second half belonged to Penn State, scoring 34 straight points and holding Pitt scoreless, as Penn State would crush Pitt 48-14, costing Pittsburgh a chance for their second national title in 5 seasons. And then just kind of speed it up here a little bit. The rivalry began a slow death in the 1990s when both schools left the ranks of independents and chose to join conferences. Penn State would accept an invite to the Big Ten, and Pittsburgh would take off to the Big East, which had rejected Penn State's application to join by a single vote in 1982. So the Big East declined Penn State. That's crazy. That still baffles me when I see that. But anyway, so they declined it by one vote. That's crazy. Where the majority of the school's athletic programs already participated, the conference affiliations of the two previously independent programs resulted in fewer scheduling opportunities. The rivalry was renewed after 16 years of dormancy in 2016 under the Keystone Classic moniker. So the last 3 times they played, it's been called the Keystone Classic, which is cool. It's Penn State's, Pennsylvania's the Keystone State. So anyway, this rivalry is not completely dead, but it's just not what it used to be, and it slowly went down. So Pitt and Penn State. All right, so let's take our final break, and when we come back, we'll conclude our show with our non-football segment. We didn't do one last week, but we're going to do one this week. When we come back, I will give you my top 5 favorite ice cream flavors. I love ice cream. Don't know about y'all, but I'm going to give you my top 5 ice cream flavors. See you guys in just a second.
It's on time, you can get to work by 9 and start your slaving job to get your pay. If you ever get annoyed, look at me, I'm self-employed. I love to work at nothing all day, and we've been taking care of business every day. Taking care of business every way, we've been taking care of business. It's all mine. Taking care of business, and I've been working overtime. Work out.
All right. Hey guys. So on this week's non-football segment, I do food a lot, but we didn't do anything last week. So this week we're going to do top 5 favorite ice cream flavors. Number 5, the legendary cookie dough. I love the chunks of chocolate chip cookies in it, and then of course your little cookie dough balls in it. Really, really good ice cream flavor. One of my personal favorites. I couldn't get a couple of these graphics to load, so number 4, the classic vanilla ice cream. Just real simple, nothing fancy. Was really my favorite growing up, but I didn't eat a lot of different flavors of it when I was younger. But now, different story. But vanilla is number 4. Number 3, of course, birthday cake. I don't have a picture of the top 3, but birthday cake ice cream is so good. It's a lot of sugar. Just be careful when you eat it. Don't get too much sugar. But birthday cake, really good. Number 2, my mom got me hooked on this one, is butter pecan. So good. Love the chunks of pecan in it. So delicious. And my number 1 ice cream flavor, cookies and cream. Point blank. chunks of Oreos in it. I wish I had a picture of cookies and cream right now. But point blank, chunks of Oreos in it. Definitely my number one ice cream flavor. Oop, you can't touch that goodness right there. That is cookies and cream ice cream in a waffle cone. So good, so good. I love cookies and cream. I love cookies and cream, anything just about. But anyway, so that is Jrams top 5 ice cream flavors. Here it is one more time for you: cookie dough, vanilla, birthday cake, butter pecan, and cookies and cream. Well, guys, this has been fun, man. I didn't anticipate going this long, but this is cool. Um, well, that's our show. I appreciate you guys. Thank y'all for tuning in, man. We had good numbers this week, almost 50. Appreciate y'all. We're going to close this thing with a Bible verse like we always do. Psalm 34:18. The Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart, and saveth such as be of a contrite spirit. Whew. I've had a few broken hearts, but I've overcome them because He's with me. He gets me through them. The Lord is wonderful. I can tell you that much. I can't describe how amazing the Lord is. It's so good. He is so great. He is so great and worthy of all. He's worthy of it all of our praise. And I thank Him for everything He's done for me. That's for sure. All right, guys, that's our show for this week. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Hopefully, I can eventually get a consistent time going. But we're inching closer to the college football season. I think we're 65 days away from week 0, so it'll be here before you know it. I'm supposed to start getting in the season mode, so hopefully here before long we'll make our transition to 2 shows a week like I want to do. So appreciate you guys again. Thank y'all for your support. Check me out. I got all the socials. Jonathan Ramsey. I'm on Facebook. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. We have a group called the Spread College Football Discussion Group. Thank you to Andrew, College Sports Villains. He'll have his show tonight. He does a great job with his guys. Him, Vandy, Chris, Emily, No Mercy Sports. Thank you to Brandon Oge at Football Frame of Mind. He did my video, my little intro video for this show. Dude is awesome. Maybe the best NFL mind I've ever met or spoke to. Dude knows his ball. He is phenomenal. Appreciate him and everything he's done. Thank you to all of you. Thank you to everybody. Thank you, College Sports Villains, for allowing me in here. And can't thank y'all enough. Appreciate your support. We'll be back next week, and be on the lookout Wednesday. I'll let you know what all we're going to cover next week. Appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Stay safe, and God bless.